Peter R. Breggin, MD, is called the conscience of psychiatry for his many decades of successful reform efforts. His scientific and educational work provide the foundation for modern criticism of drugs and ECT and lead the way in promoting more caring and effective therapies. His books include Talking Back to Prozac, Toxic Psychiatry, Medication Madness, Psychiatric Drug Withdrawal, and now, Guilt, Shame, and Anxiety, Understanding and Overcoming Negative Emotions. Welcome to the Dr. Peter Breggin Hour.
Hello, my wonderful audience. Today is a huge deal for me. It's the first day that I'm exploring with you, my audience. Actually, you're not going to get to explore much. Doing a video of the show, so that within one day after being on the radio, I'll be on TV, that is, on my own channel on YouTube. So welcome to the Dr. Peter Breggin Hour. I'm experimenting. I don't feel nervous because I know I'm not going to be using today's filming, so it's not bothering me that I'm trembling all over, not physically, but from the screen is trembling in some way, the camera. I don't know what in the world that is. So I'm just really excited about this. There's going to be a lot of really new and good things happening in the coming months and years. I am reaching out. I'm getting some new connections to be talking to lots and lots more people through other groups. And I mean, sky's the limit now. Sky is the limit now. I'm also going to be talking more about politics. If not on this show, I still am working on how much more to include that here. I'm going to be talking about it on other venues because I am just so concerned about what's happening with this impeachment of Trump that's completely trumped up, and just the whole attempt to undermine him, which they were planning before he was elected. You know, they put spies, the FBI put spies in his entourage when he was just running for president. I mean, when he said tapping the phones, people laughed at him. They actually were tapping the phones. They were doing they were doing electronic surveillance. So I may be talking more about that. But for now, this is the Dr. Peter Breggin Hour. Our emphasis is on psychiatry and psychology and mental health. And today is the day that you get to call me and to talk to me about whatever you want. And, if somebody wants to have a really pleasant, brief discussion about politics, I'll be glad to do that too. I mean, I'm just seeing our world crushed between the powers of government and corporate America. We are just a little nothing in between the powers of corporate America and the powers of the government. And we've got a very deep state. It's a deep state that really reviles middle America, flyover zone, empowerment of the people in general. And that's real scary stuff to me. So I'm really willing to talk a little bit about that if you like, but I'm going to be also, and the questions are coming in, I'm glad to see them coming in. We'll be talking just more and more about different things, but more exciting information too, as I'm trying to get organized in front of the camera. I've created an entirely new banner on my website. It's very near the top, and it's called My Very Newest Highlights. That's the conscience of psychiatry. My very newest highlights is what me and my aide, my wife will call them. My very newest highlights as the conscience of psychiatry. So I just want somebody coming to this website now, just getting right away curious. What is it? What do you mean your newest highlights is the conscience of psychiatry? I've been too shy. I'm going to be less publicly shy. And what we'll have up there is the newest and the most exciting thing that I think I'm involved in. And right now it's the blog and a video that I've put up about Elon Musk, his experimental brain control. And this is on the website of Aaron and Melissa Dykes, Dykes, who have become friends, and we are helping each other out. And I put this blog up there to talk about a tremendous video of theirs and giving my own opinions about it. And the subject matter is Elon Musk working with, it now turns out, DARPA, this very secretive but also in many ways very public defense agency that's been interested in mind control since the beginning of time. Well, at least going back a century probably. So what happens there is I actually put up my commentary on the risk and dangers of mind control. And what Musk is experimenting with is implanting what he calls very, very tiny not even needle-like, thread-like electrodes, multiple unknown numbers in the brain, trying to get them right into nice thick patches of neurons and measuring them and, most importantly to him, stimulating them. Now, this is going to be a disaster. I would never volunteer for that one, folks. And he's working with the defense agency, DARPA, so maybe he's going to, try to just quote, get volunteers in the military. And he's going to be working with the FDA, which loves devices. They love electroshock. They grandfathered it in. They refused to ever reject it. And finally, this year, because they were losing the battle in the courts, they jumped in. We're still fighting in the courts, but they saw they were losing the battle in the courts on defensive shock treatment. And so they jumped in and approved shock treatment at the FDA. And this is the division that Elon Musk is going to go to get his device approved for a few medical, neurological problems, he thinks. The FDA will be accommodating. I mean, look, if they approve electroshock, if they tacitly approved lobotomy, you think they're going to go up against one of the great partnerships that's evolving between super tech, multi-billionaires, and the federal government? I don't think so. So there's going to be a real problem now with these mind control issues going on. Think of anything else I want to tell you about today. Don't forget there's BregginLive@hotmail.com to communicate with. But I also want to go back to my website. I now have 3 daily, almost daily changing or frequently changing ways of viewing what's going on in my work and in reform and psychiatry on the website. So you all who are listening, I hope, know about the frequent alerts. They come up every week or so, maybe twice a week. I mean, I don't have a particular pattern to them, but the frequent alerts will be continuing, and you can, in regard to the frequent alerts, you can subscribe to them for free and just get them, and they'll keep you up to date with what's going on my radio show, for example, or whether I put up a new blog. Just general information of what's going on a regular basis. Then there's fresh daily news. That's daily, every day. My wonderful assistant, Ian, we're taking information from me, and Ginger, really doing this great job on his own, is putting up interesting stuff for you to read. This is fresh daily stuff from around the world. So really, I mean, spend your few minutes every day looking at see if you got an alert in the email, or check it out on the website, Breggin.com. Check out the fresh daily news. And now you can check out my very newest highlights. And they may overlap some of the time, my very newest highlights and my frequent alerts. But They're going to be somewhat different. And so, come to the website, Breggin.com, www.breggin.com, Breggin. Remember, there's an app, PRN app, that you can listen to the show. You won't be able to watch it. And remember that this is the day that we take questions, and we're just gradually getting nearly full with the number of questions we can take in an hour. So, I'm going to just go first come, first serve, not by subject or title. If you want to call in some more, I haven't even given the number out. Other people want to call in, it's 888-874-4888. And today is 4 p.m., and it is, I'm checking, it's October 30th, 2019. It's funny to have the camera on me all the time. Now, I think we're going to be able to hear, you will be able to hear when, well, I'm not sure whether we'll be able at any point to hear the questions on the video. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but I think you will be able to, because this is how I'm doing it. So you're going to be able to hear. Eventually, I may be able to also have you video, be on the video when you call in, but maybe not. I don't think they have enough lines for the video with that. I'll have to ask them about that. So, my great people in the studio, let's go to number one. Let's go to Anna Lee. She's in Canada.
Yes.
She's supporting mental patients. Hi, Anna Lee.
Yes, hi, Dr. Peter Breggin. I really appreciate that you put me in the first, because I tried to connect with you since last year. I sent you my proposal and the project related to your heartfelt work with so many psychiatrist patients. As I have been go through so many years within my family trauma to my own students and all the children and family I work with as educator, specialized child and family development. Actually, I call myself as educational anthropologist because I work in the field as doing the empirical study, specialized how I see the children from the beginning years to the end of their adulthood. And I do have some case study working with mental health early childhood to the high school to the college student as well. It's kind of longitudinal research background. The paper are already published globally in academic institute. However, I do recognize that your efforts is so great. Last year, my husband challenged me, and he told me how he can see your model, which is a benefit to the society. I take example from you because he's pushing me eat the sleeping pill because I couldn't sleep. Whereas he put me into the very difficult situation. Because the drug I had before within my brain trauma, I have car accident 20 years ago, and I kind of couldn't accept any drug at all. So I recognized drug is poison. And then my doctor encouraged me had the not have a Herbert vitamins rather than had the drug by the doctor. So
I did, Annalie, I didn't hear your last sentence.
Okay.
Could you repeat what you just said? Last 5-10 words.
Okay. I talked to my doctor with my brain trauma by the car accident, and then my family doctor told me you can have the we call the Herbert medicine, instead of the prescription by the doctor. So my brain trauma.
I'm so sorry. Just repeat the last word. Your doctor said you could have something?
Herbal medicine.
Herbal medicine. You could have herbal medicine.
Herbal medicine.
Okay.
And being recognized by
so tell me,
Western
how can I help you? I think I hear basically what you're saying, Annalie. What's your question or the point you wanted to make?
The point out is I look at your website here, and I just give you the brief background about it. I am really supporting your work, and then I wish your work can expanding more than you already put your post outside on the website saying stop the psychiatric abuse of children, right? Give the children's drug. This is something very important. Even adult, we cannot suffer from the drug. We need the treatment is natural treatment without social kind of problem occur the children's problems. And the psychiatric treatment will not be provided by the manufacturer's drug. It should be provided by all of human beings who, with loving and caring, understanding each other. Particularly, you have a few discussions over weeks right now. I listen every week. And I found that
Annalie, I really think it's wonderful what you're saying. Before I move to my next guest, is there something you wanted to ask me at all?
I need you support that your model should be expanded, and how you feel. Also, you try to do very much work online, on the broadcast, on TV, but still not enough. We have lots of children and families suffer from.
Well, I'm doing my best, and you're doing your best. And you have a lot of good people in Canada, some wonderful people with lived experience and people with deep concerns about these issues. And I do wish you the best with that, Annalie. I really, really do. Let me go to Quentin on Long Island, caller number 2.
Hello.
Hi, Quentin.
Hey, how are you, Doc?
I'm doing
Nice
good.
talk.
I'm very excited. I don't know if you heard the beginning. I think you were lined up here, and I'm kind of distracted. I'm watching myself on the video, which I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to look into the camera, and this is sort of a dry run to see how it all works.
Good luck with that. I just heard about you from. I was listening to Gary Noel a lot, and on one of his shows, on the beginning of his shows, they had an advertisement about you. And you mentioned some things about depression that resonated with me that I wanted to ask questions about because I suffer with that, and it has also led into things like social anxiety, panic attacks, things that are very difficult for a man to admit and to work with.
How old are you?
I'm 55.
Okay. I'm nowhere near as old as me, but a mature man. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some of these things my whole life, but they seem to have gotten worse as certain things have happened in my life. Certain things, it seems, losses, deaths of parents, businesses fail. And I seem to have gotten myself into a situation where my mom is requiring care on a daily basis. And so I moved home to take care of her, which I do.
Oh, that, Quentin, could be such a new, huge stress. You can you can Google that, just ask about, what is it like, living with your mom when she's in trouble. And that in itself is just a huge stress. And you might look around, see if there's some free counseling in U.S. We do have that. You're on Long Island. You might need some counseling in how to handle a really big stress, like helping your mother out in her older years. But go ahead.
No, I was saying I did that. It's very difficult finding a decent therapist, with you when you have limited resources in terms of money.
Well,
Because
you might find some resources through county social services for the aged. You may not have thought of that. And they may even be able to direct you toward a counseling group, maybe even, a group that's run by lay people or by the group itself. But in the U.S., that's the way I would go, is to look for the services for older folks in your community, because they will be thinking about services for people who are taking care of them. And caretakers is a key word, too. You could see what kind of help there is for caretakers in the community. But to go ahead and
I was
talk some more, Quentin.
As I said, I looked into that, but because of the resources, and there's so many people going through different things, it's very difficult to find, in my opinion, a good psychologist or psychotherapist that really has a gift for this thing. I found myself meeting people that were much younger than me. I didn't feel that they really had an insight into this. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't, but I just didn't feel. I couldn't find the right fit. And I guess I was looking for something where I feel like the person has more experience in this thing, because I'm older. So it's definitely.
That may be hard for you, and you don't have such a private practice. Probably ability. Do you have insurance that would enable you to do private practice?
I have insurance, but my insurance didn't cover. It's not a very good insurance because I'm not working. But I went to see several doctors, and it just was actually, it was horrible. Quite frankly, I felt myself being worse because I just didn't find anyone that was.
What was worse about it?
Well, one of the doctors had a hearing difficulty, and I had to talk very loud, and that didn't work so well because I don't like to scream. I don't like to speak loud or speak up. That was very difficult. The other two were more like motivational speakers. In fact, in this insurance, they give you counselors for the first year before they give you a real psychiatrist. They give you a counselor. So many people waiting to
I don't think you want a real psychiatrist. They are really dangerous. My colleagues are not the place to go anymore unless you know a very specific name, and there's only a handful in the country. Because they're just going to give you drugs. So counseling, I think, is a fine alternative. You just have to find the right fit. I think you're lucky not to have gotten a psychiatrist.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm looking for the right fit. I'm looking for, to get some insight into, how to move through this, because I fear as you get older, these things tend to get worse.
Well, I want to repeat again, there are a variety of resources. If you go online, you're going to find programs that try to help caregivers. You're going to find courses. It sounds like if you're not happy, with the folks you're meeting, and I wouldn't give up trying. Finding a therapist is somewhat similar to finding a good friend, and that's not easy to do. Somebody you really click with. I would urge you to keep trying, but I think you should turn to modern resources and see if you can get a course on dealing with depression, but also dealing specifically with the issues of having your mom around. When we get together with our mom, when we try to live with our mother, and I live with Ginger's mother-in-law. I invited her, actually. I wanted her to know that Ginger's mother. I live with Ginger's mom, and she's a wonderful woman. But it's difficult. It raises all kinds of new issues, and it is a good time for you to be introspective. It's a good time because you're going to get re-stimulated on childhood issues. You're going to have the opportunity to look at some of the sources of why you've had long-term depression or anxiety, because they usually go back to childhood. And they usually, despite the fact that this is now ridiculed in some corners, mainly the biological corners, it often goes back to the relationships with our parents and very often to relationships with mothers. Often, if you've been depressed a long time, your mom may have elements of depression. She's passing
Yes, she
on,
does.
or she might have communicated to you in ways that didn't make you feel happy. So it's a big open opportunity now for you to do some study. Get a hold of my book, Guilt, Shame, and Anxiety. It's a paperback. You can order it online from us at Breggin.com, or you can get it much faster from Amazon.com, from Amazon. And that'll help you look at the issues of guilt, shame, and anxiety that you're experiencing. You need to look at this as a real opportunity time. And there's just many, many resources available. You could look at the courses, look at my website, and look at the courses I have on Heart of Being Helpful, because it'll help you with the challenge of being helpful to your mom and of also not getting so bombarded with past things that are going to be bothersome to you. So, I mean, that's another kind of alternative that you would have, would be that course that I did with Pam Popper, and it's the Heart of Being Helpful, and my book, The Heart of Being Helpful, also might be of use to you. You're going to have to get original and meet new challenges now, Quentin. You think you're up to it? I hope you're up to it.
It's lonely beginning because it's there's a shame involved, and there's where do I begin, and then I have the panic
Well, I'm
attacks.
giving you got to be a little more encouraging of yourself. I'm giving you a ton of ideas about where to begin.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You gotta. By the way, you can re-listen to this. It'll be within a day or two. It's up on my website in the archives, and you can hear me talking to you again. Don't let yourself cave into the helplessness. The biggest thing that overwhelms us as children that we carry into childhood is the kind of feeling you're expressing when you're saying there's just, that you're ashamed and there's just don't know where to begin. And that's the experience of when we're overwhelmed as kids. It really is. And, read about it in my book, really work on it, decide now is the time. I'm of the age now. I should be good and strong and be able to begin to not tell myself these negative things and to pick out some places to begin. And if you could find a group of caregivers, and I'll bet there's a group of caregivers, it might go a long way to helping you with your loneliness. You might find somebody there or a group that could help you. So look for a caregivers group too, Quentin. Okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now.
And Julie in Massachusetts, she would like to talk about mind control. It looks like. And folks, I might still be able to take one more. Julie's offline. Is Julie gone? She's off. Linda in New Jersey, and we're going to have space for a couple more callers, 888-874-4888. If this is, and you're listening on October 30th, then you can call me live. If you're listening on the archive and it's not October 30th, no luck. Linda in New Jersey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Hello, Dr. Breggin, my new friend. I spoke with you last month on this open mic day, and you were so gracious to me and gave me a lot of time because I was the first caller. You had said about me emailing you about my experience and what's been happening with my family, and I have so many things I could talk to you about right now, but I did tell the man that answered when I called that I had a question on page 34 of your book, Psychiatric Drug Withdrawal. And yeah, I have a bunch of things, but you had said, should I just read the quote of what you had said and
Sure.
then go with my question?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
sure.
Okay, you said that many patients with CBI, which is chronic brain impairment, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. I'm
Injury.
sorry, I didn't.
Injury.
Yeah, chronic brain injury, right? Which I would consider that's what I've had. I'm saying I'm coming a long way with that, but continue to want a quick fix. But instead of seeking out additional psychoactive substances, including Chinese medicine and herbal or natural remedies, the individual should abstain as much as possible from all psychoactive substances for the indefinite future. And I want to ask you, so you're saying this would include like vitamin supplements? I take a lot of vitamin supplements from over the years of
I
being
haven't
on all of this.
recommended a lot of vitamin supplements,
No.
but
What I'm asking is, are you saying that people should try to stay away from taking a lot of vitamin supplements? Or
well, in general, what really helps people, and the answer generally is yes. Yes. I mean, first of all, there's very little evidence for help from vitamin supplements. The 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 one that is most important is, the B vitamins if you're being a strict vegetarian, because we don't get enough of them just from vegetables usually. Um, but there are things you can buy that are vegetarian additives that you can put right into your food. There's a nutritional yeast supplement that has B vitamins in it rather than taking the vitamins. But I'm not against a person taking the Bs if they're vegetarian. But in general, there's very little evidence that the supplements help. And that's not to say I haven't tried one now and again. I mean, there's so much advertising and pushing of it. But no, that's not the answer. The answer in terms of that kind of physical health is first and foremost a vegetable-based diet. Look up some of my shows with Pam Popper
oh yeah, I have.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
archive, and that means you're eating a ton of vegetables, and that's your main source of calories. And Pam would have you avoid even delicious fatty vegetables, and not eat meat more than some normal portions 3 times a week. You don't have to stay totally away from meat, but really get into eating your potatoes and your broccoli and your beans and all those different things. And you can learn more about her diet, just by looking up Pam Popper on the
Yes.
internet. So, I mean, good solid food. And the second thing is moderate exercise. Moderate exercise is very helpful for just about everything we do. Especially as we get older, don't bust a knee or something because you're trying to be 14 years old. And the third is our general mental health. Those are the 3 legs of helping ourselves heal from physical and mental injury. And things that are chronic, that are going to be around a while and you gradually can recover from, like traumatic brain injuries. You're going to be even more susceptible to harm from drugs or harm from supplements. They can be harmful too. I mean, you take ashwagandha and you're basically taking something very similar to a benzo, for example. It's going to have even more effect on you if you have a head injury, because your brain just doesn't fight the drugs off as well. It's just hasn't got its full capacity. So those are some of my thoughts about that. Do you have any further thoughts? Questions?
Yeah, I do. First of all, I want to thank you for mentioning on last week's show about the email that I sent you, and that you had said maybe in the future having the conference up your way. And I was the one saying that I would bring a busload of people. Actually,
Okay, yes.
yeah.
Well, we're not planning on that in the immediate future.
No, that's okay, because I don't think I could bring a busload of people in the immediate future. But I do have one lovely friend of mine who I would love to bring up, and even just myself and maybe my husband to meet you and tell you about the things that all these things that like you had asked me to say about what has happened in my family.
Yeah.
With coming off of all of the 20 years of being on psychiatric medications, and
if I did a workshop, I mean, it wouldn't be in depth like therapy, and I don't.
Yeah.
As many folks have learned, I don't do therapy with people who aren't in my community, and I don't invite people to come live here to do therapy. I want people who are local, so that they have a network, and that I can be readily available, in 8 minutes, and be at the office if they're having some difficulty. So I don't do that kind of work long distance, and I know that's disappointing people. And increasingly, physicians can't do therapy, teletherapy, in states where they don't have licenses. That's becoming more and more difficult, and I don't do that either. So my practice is basically a local one.
Right.
Folks, 888-874-4888. I'm still got some time to take some more listeners. Where are you located?
I am in Central Jersey. And yeah, that was another thing when you were bringing up in the beginning of the show about the politics. I just was talking to a woman today who is your age, actually. I think you're 83, right? She's 83. And I don't know if you've ever heard about Marlborough Institution here in New Jersey. It shut down many years ago. I'm not sure how many years ago, because I was not in my right mind when it shut down. But she was telling me some really interesting things, that they just took busloads of people. They shut that hospital down. They took busloads and just dumped them off in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, which is a beautiful little...
Yeah, that's one of the ways that that the hospitals were emptied. They really weren't helping. The emptying of the hospitals was not a great thing for people. It was just shoving people out because they could now get government aid. Mental disability was covered finally by SSI, and they just used that to shove the people out. Well, I'm going to move along. I am glad to hear from you again. Stay in touch and write to me, okay?
I will. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Let's go to David in Oklahoma.
Hello, doctor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So you have this intriguing note you sent to the producer. Test for people running for office. Tell me more.
I just want to know if there's a way that we can, whether we just ask questions or we can send them a survey that would say, hey, I guess this guy is really not trustworthy, or this gal is trustworthy. And if we could, learn something before they get in there, because politicians kind of say one thing and then do the others, as I'm sure your listeners know that. And the only reason I a long time ago, this quarterback was being drafted, and the psychologist said, don't get him, and he's turned out to be like a $25 million mistake. So I'm wondering, is there some ways you can judge people before they get in and something like that?
Well, who would do the judging? First of all, the answer is no, because any judgment would be made to start with a political lens. And secondly, tests are not very good for that. What we really need to do is use our intelligence, our intuition, gather as much information as we can, I mean, for example, have you been watching the Democratic debates?
Oh no, it's just it'd be a waste of my time, right?
Well, wouldn't you get an awful lot of information about those people from seeing them up there,
Well,
basically
I just know I'm not
making
going to vote
fools
for
of
any of them.
themselves? What?
So I'm not going to vote for any of them. So I'd be wasting my
All
time. I know
right.
what
Well,
you're saying there.
I mean, but that's what we are stuck with. We are stuck in a democracy, not with a
Hmm.
technology government, a technocratic government that runs our lives by selecting or helping us select people who run for office by means of examination. It can't be done. It would be become an extraordinary Big Brother state, and the tests don't work very well. And the
Right.
and if they did, I wouldn't want anybody using them or subjecting other people to them. I
Yeah.
think
Well,
we're stuck
politicians.
with judging people as we see them, and nowadays there's so much online to judge people by. There's for the presidency, there's so many debates to judge them by. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, what makes you want to resort to psychiatry and psychology, which is in itself such a menace?
Well, like I say, in regards to that football player, he obviously failed this test, and so he told them don't hire this guy. So he knew something by testing him,
Well,
and you want to be able to trust a politician.
that that's gonna you're gonna get anecdotes like that all the time about anything. People could be calling in, probably even testifying that they've seen people helped by electroshock treatment. I mean, a lot of psychiatrists think that, but they don't look at the people. An anecdote doesn't prove much, and the kinds of psychological testing,
Right. So
vastly
it's
different.
right. So with our local politicians, maybe we just need to have a thought provoking question that's going to decide whether they're going to protect our rights or just put it to us.
Well, I think
Okay.
that's
I
absolutely right. I mean that is absolutely what we're faced with is and trying to get other people, which doesn't happen in the media today. The media, particularly NBC, ABC, and all those folks, they're reflexly attacking the conservatives and reflexively touting the liberals and progressives. So it's very hard now to get anybody really being questioned very seriously. It's very, very hard. And that
well,
is a big problem, and it's a big problem on both sides of the
that's the way you have
political
to
sphere.
go
So you
when
feel,
people are
Dave, you're feeling
running.
pretty frustrated politically?
Pardon me?
You're feeling pretty frustrated politically?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I was a Ron Paul supporter, so of course.
Yeah,
But yes,
yeah.
I see what you're saying. You just have to really try to get in touch with the politician when they're running beforehand to see if they're going to pan out
You
to fit
do.
your values.
You do. And,
Okay,
you're a libertarian, which means that you have some pretty clear-cut criteria
there you go.
to measure by. You're probably in a better position to find people that are going to, pursue what you believe in than most people would. I was a very active libertarian many, many years ago. I almost ran for vice president on the Libertarian Party ticket. I was on the board of, I was elected at large back in the 70s, at large from the
Uh,
Congress of the Libertarian Party to be on the board. And I just
well,
found
that's good.
that politicians were, I mean, even on the libertarian board, they were not about freedom at all. They were about promoting their own power. But this is like going back to the 70s, and it was not a big
Hmm.
deal. Libertarians were pretty rare then. Ron Paul was speaking at every conference. um,
Right.
well,
Okay.
well, thank you for calling in. I'm really, really glad to hear from you. And
Good. I appreciate your information.
thank you. Thank you very, very
Uh,
much. Is Sue still online? as far as we can tell here, or have I talked with her already? I've kind of lost track.
Hello?
Hi, Sue. Did I talk to you already?
No, I think a few years ago I might have emailed
Oh, but
you.
not today. Not today. Well, welcome
No,
aboard. Welcome
thank you.
aboard.
Okay, well, while I was talking to your staff to ask a question, I think you may have answered this, but this is something new that's come up. I've actually, I had a car accident in 1991, a head injury, and about a year later, I had symptoms of, I was tremendously fearful and paranoid, and I got labeled as a schizophrenic, and I've been in and out of hospitals. I've never done anything crazy. I just get scared. Anyway, I've had a lot of trauma in my life, emotional trauma, and I've had a few people that I know who are in, a psychopharmacologist, a psychologist, etc., who thinks that I had maybe PTSD. Anyhow,
PTSD from what? Your head trauma or something else?
No, just life stuff. How I grew up. I lost my mom when I was 20 years old with cancer. A lot of trauma, and
I think that's Sue, what most of us suffer from. I mean, I've got enormous post-traumatic stress. I don't call it a disorder from how I grew up.
right.
And I still find it important to remember some of the things that shaped my own fears or anxieties or responses.
Right.
So, I'm fond of saying we're all post-traumatic stress from childhood. And I think a lot of experienced therapists, I don't know about psychiatrists, but I'm a psychiatrist, but people who do therapy at least, and have a genuine interest in other human beings and in themselves know that, yes, a lot of things come from back there. And may I ask you, how did the trauma that caused you an injury occur, physical injury?
What about the physical trauma?
Yeah, what was it? Do you mind talking about it? Don't talk about it if you don't want to.
Oh, no, my car accident 25 years ago?
Okay, so what happened 25 years ago? Were you knocked unconscious, or?
Yes, I was out for quite a while, and I was at a restaurant, and I believe my friends think someone put something in my drink, and I fell asleep at the wheel, and I broke my nose, my cheekbones. I lost a lot of teeth in my mouth. They had to rebuild my mouth.
Wow.
And
yeah, you really had a trauma.
yeah, well, that definitely was a trauma, but I've been reading. I read a lot. I'm now, I was a financial advisor for 30 years, and I kept missing work. I would have an episode where I would be afraid, and eventually I just couldn't do the stress of the job. I just couldn't do. And I've always had, I've actually moved from the East Coast to where I am now, and moved into a very, basically a trailer, and I'm just trying to work on my health and find the answer. I've been working on this for 25 years, no joke. And I've always had gut issues, and some people say some of this psychiatric stuff begins in your gut. So I looked into that, and I took, I recently, this past March, started with colostrum, and it's liposomal delivery. It's a powder, and I had...
Yeah, Julie, are you on anything near a vegetable-based diet? Sue, rather, are you anywhere near a
no,
vegetable-based
no.
diet?
I've actually been doing a ketogenic diet.
Oh, dear. I don't think
Yeah.
so. Look, go to the website of Pam Popper or look up some of the books that she
Well, my
recommends on her
question,
her
yeah,
newsletter.
here's my question. The colostrum actually really helped me a lot. It was a game changer. But
Well, I don't know
I
anything about all that stuff, but the
okay. Well,
evidence
the
that's
other thing is,
overwhelming for health is a vegetable-based diet. So I hope you'll check that out. Are you
I
on any
will.
psychiatric, neurological medications?
Yes. I Geodone. Do you know Geodone?
Yeah, geodone. Yeah. In the long run, that is not. I wouldn't stop it quickly. You might get my book, Psychiatric Drug
Well, I've
Withdrawal.
already stopped it. I've been working on it for a long time, and
Oh well, how
when I
long you been
tried to
on?
do, okay, well,
Anyway, it's
I,
really good that you're getting off. I think you should. I hope you're working with somebody. I can't
I'm
evaluate you
working with
on
someone.
obviously
No, I
on the
understand that.
phone, but
I'm
you
working
want
with
to avoid the
someone who,
psychoactive substances. They are more impairing to your already struggling brain. So, and that includes the herbs and stuff. But
well, I
so
started taking a natural medicine just about
yeah.
8 weeks ago,
Well, I'm
a
going
lithium.
to let go now but I do want to suggest to you that you look into a good solid diet, mild exercise, and avoid the psychoactive substances in general if you can, and if you're on them, try to get some help coming off of them. Check out my website and my courses, some of which are related to that. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. So let me go to Julie in Massachusetts who wants to say something about mind control. Can't avoid that. Talking about that. Julie? Julie? I lost Julie before, according to my list here. See, I've got a sheet of stuff here that revolves and tells me what's going on out there in the universe. And there's no response in regard to Julie, and I'm having a little trouble with my communication. I'm going to just communicate with the studio. Let me talk some more, folks, about this mind control issue, because I think it's going to be the single most horrific psychological related issue of the future, because billions of dollars, I believe, are going to be put into interfacing in some way or another computers with the brain. Right now, you have Elon Musk, and again, go to my website and go down to my any of my live ways of getting online with me, including my Conscience of Psychiatry, latest happenings. That's right up near the top of the page in red. And you'll see Elon Musk's name there, and you can just, read about this stuff. But I mentioned that he was putting electrodes in people's heads, going to be doing it. Hadn't said he'd been doing it yet, but golly, I mean, it certainly sounds like a lot's going on, because he had a big, long speech about it, which you can see video portions of, and even the entire thing by following through on what's up on my website. And those will be remote controlled. They're going to be any wires. It's going to be wireless. Now think about somebody, hijacking your computer, infecting you with ransomware. And imagine you're in one of his experiments and you get hijacked. You get ransomwared. And you've got all of these electrodes now under somebody else's control. Now, they're moving toward not even needing electrodes. And DARPA, which is the defense organization that is federal, you can look it up, DARPA in caps, they talk about that they're the ones that provided Musk with his machinery, governments, the defense departments behind this. And they are foreseeing a cap, which they're developing, that you can wear, and there'll be no electrodes. None going in your head. They're going to pass something through your skull by some other means, electronically. So all of this is really, really, really a menace. Let me go to Julie. I think I'm only got about 2 or 3 minutes with her. Did you finally reconnect, Julie? Are you there?
No. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Where you been?
Oh, you can.
You've been coming and going while I'm waiting for you to connect to me on the telephone.
I have no clue what happened. I just know you asked.
So we got only a couple of minutes before the music starts. What would you like to add to this conversation or ask?
Well, as far as mind control goes, I've been studying it. I've been studying it since around 1979, even before I went into psychiatry. And there's one thing I know. The wires and stuff and all that techno stuff is very, very scary, but what's really scary is plain old coercion, because it can so easily it can control a person. And, I studied how it was done. I studied how religious cults do it. I am a survivor of a religious cult. The reason why people stay psychiatric patients for so long is because of kindness, is because they're nice to you. Unless you're under absolute force, you keep going back because they're nice. They're nice, but they got an agenda. And I think we need to be very, very aware of this, because it's going to get people going back, and before you know it, you're a permanent patient.
May I ask, did that kind of happen to you or to somebody you know?
Oh yeah, it's like a lot of people I know, but myself also, because I didn't leave until they started getting mean, until they started getting abusive. I think I've noticed that people who go in and they have a horrible experience, they run away real fast and they leave with very little damage.
Right. It's called love bombing. The cults, they love bomb. They just bring a lot of attention and caring, and we all thirst for that. We all need that. We all want to be loved and appreciated by someone, and when a group starts doing it, it becomes really, really devastating. I gotta finish off now, folks. The music is starting. I'll be checking out the video of this and seeing how silly and foolish I look and faces I make, although I've done a lot of television, lots and lots of videos. It's a little different starting my own regular one and fussing with everything at the same time while I'm doing the show. And thanks to my wonderful engineers, and I look forward to seeing you next week, and that will be the first video show of the Dr. Peter Breggin Hour that gets archived. Next week, big moment. Thanks for being there, wonderful audience. Thanks for being there.